Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Kimmy Chunga, here today on a serious topic. Um, I'm sure most of you viewing this are aware of the police shooting and killing of 20-year-old father, Dante Wright. I'm not going to go so much focusing on the details of his killing as much as I am going to talk a little bit about the dehumanization of Black lives. And that's not only in the countless deaths and shootings and killings of Black individuals like Dante Wright, but also the subsequent response, tactical military-like response to peaceful protesters who are protesting emotionally, obviously, but never really violently, but met with violent, abrasive force. The subsequent treatment of the family of the victims, denying them justice, like Breonna Taylor's family. And also those speaking out about the killings and either defunding or abolishing the police and the response that's given to them, which is often gaslighting or white people who like to play the devil's advocate or what have you. But the dehumanization of Black lives, coming off of the heels of legalized slavery and Jim Crow laws and legalized segregation, acts that were legalized, seen by the government as okay to do. And yet we sit here now and oftentimes are receiving pushback of the actual reality of the situation, as though we aren't still on the heels of segregation. Some states, some counties, what have you, that still don't allow Black individuals. Yet somehow it's hard to understand that police, which was created as a slave catching organization, is somehow not targeting Black people. Stop and frisk the countless number of unarmed, innocent Black people that are killed at traffic stops, or because they may have had a counterfeit $20 bill or cigarettes or what have you. The fact that police, when it comes to Black people, are often judge, jury, and executioner in the span of maybe 5 minutes. Black people, whether they have a warrant, because going back to Dante Wright, he was pulled over because of an air freshener obstructing his view or whatnot, which seems like it was just really a tactic to run his plates and maybe pull up some warrants. And I don't care if he had warrants coming out of his ears. No one deserves to be executed on the street, executed without their time in court. What kind of civilized society that most people like to regard the U.S. as allows that to happen time and time again, or justifies it after the fact? The U.S. likes to talk about being the top country of the superpower of the world, looking at other countries as though they're third world, or the way they run their country is so barbaric. Yet we have blood running through the streets of innocent Black people every day almost. Yet somehow we're the civilized society that justifies these killings. Now, the police officer that executed Dante Wright claims that it was an accident of grabbing her gun and pulling the trigger instead of pulling a taser. First of all, why was a taser needed? Why is non-violent stops, encounters with the police met with violent police force? Time and time again, when it's Black bodies. So you're talking about someone who has over 2 decades worth of time on the police force doesn't know the difference between where her gun is supposed to be, where her taser is supposed to be, the weight of the gun, the weight of the taser? What kind of training are you receiving? How many other times has this happened? How did you not set up your belt correctly? Why were you in such a fear of this young man that you felt like pulling a weapon? Why is it that if someone gets away, you can't just go get them later? Why is it a matter of killing them or taking them down in that moment when it's a black body? Now, Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back, paralyzing him in front of his children by a police officer. That police officer has now returned to duty. To what I'm guessing, possibly doing something like that again to another black man or black woman. Now imagine this. Your average worker working in corporate America, working in finance, what have you. Do you actually know of occasions where mistakes are made, where numbers are run incorrectly, or a client isn't given the right information or product or what have you? How many times have you seen that person who made that mistake continue in that job, continue in that position? Why is it that this role of a police officer is allowed to make a, quote, mistake that results in the death of someone, and they are allowed to either continue with their job, able to resign, or avoid all conviction, legal conviction at whatsoever? The average day job, for mistakes, you're let go or you're demoted. No, here you're allowed to keep your gun in your holster to possibly take another black life. Because the role of slave catcher has just been molded and altered a little bit to police, public servants. But who are you actually serving? When the death count that results from your traffic stops or pullover or stop and frisk is higher than what you actually do to help society. And I'm not talking about pulling people over for tickets or filling your quota. I'm talking about real life-saving tactics. Now, I'm not talking about the videos of police officers playing basketball or eating ice cream with children that people love to upload in juxtaposition to videos of them executing a black life. No, I'm not talking about that. And people who do things like that, minimizing the situation, gaslighting people who are talking about the death, the fear they feel of being pulled over. He had a child. He was someone's baby. He had a baby. Jacob Blake was shot in front of his children. That is a trauma they will never get over. And now it's a trauma that they see there was no justice for. I saw on a building some graffiti in, I believe it might have been Minneapolis, that said, "You have stolen more than we could ever loot." And that's a word on today. Because this country, this white, patriarchal, white delusion, capitalism country is founded on colonization, genocide, and suppression. So when you see black lives literally snuffed out on the street for minor infractions, literally taking black lives day by day. And I say that also because in the subsequent protest, you will see line after line after line of tactical geared, riot geared police officers ready to meet these protesters with force. There was a curfew enacted, and before the curfew, they were already violently terrorizing and accosting these protesters to also then arrest them, brutalize them, what have you. So in the face of the execution of a young black man, where this police officer was literally allowed to resign and appreciating every minute of her time on the force. What about the minute that you took Dante Wright's life? What about that minute? And I'm sick and tired of these thoughts and prayers instead of action. Why are more police departments not defunded? We're also in the middle of Black Maternal Health Week. Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than white mothers. You know, a part of that is because medical professionals deny Black women the care that they deserve because somehow Black bodies are less likely to feel pain. Now, this is a stereotype that has carried on since Black women were being experimented on during slavery, that somehow we feel less pain. Strong Black women, literally our bodies are somehow made of vibranium. No. Black women are soft. Black women are vulnerable. Black women are dying in childbirth. Black women are missing the opportunity to grow up and see their children grow up after giving birth, if their child even survives. Black fathers are being killed out on the street. Now, I want to see Black people grow old. I want to see Black people pass on the wisdom of a life well lived to their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I want to see generational wealth passed down through Black families. But unfortunately, since post-slavery, Black people have been unable to pass down generational wealth because when they got into places where they were thriving, in spite of the trauma they had experienced, white people would come in and burn it to the ground. The Wilmington 1898 massacre, Tulsa. So living in this fairy tale world where people like to deny the reality that Black people are living today is doing nothing for anyone, but perpetuating the reality that Black people mean nothing and that our lives somehow are less valued. So when we say Black Lives Matter, that's coming from a real place. That is a statement. That is a declarative statement. That is a cry for peace. Because apparently a bunch of people don't believe this. So when you retort with Blue Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, apparently not all lives. And blue lives aren't even a thing. Your choice to be a police officer is exactly that, a choice. Your choice to be a corrupt police officer is a choice. Your choice not to speak out on your corrupt counterparts makes you a bad apple too. Rotten the whole batch. So when you hear someone retort against Black Lives Matter, it's because they don't believe Black Lives Matter. So Black people right now, I encourage you to find a way to deal with the pain that you're going through right now, whether that's shutting off from the world a bit, deactivating social media, reading, meditating, whatever you need to do right now. Because this is it's April 2021, and we were just doing the same thing last year, every day. Breonna Taylor was just killed a little over a year ago, and we were in the same state of protest and upheaval and cries for justice as we are today. And they try and silence the Black voice. They try and shout over the black pain. They try and deny what's right in front of their face because the reality is so traumatic and violent that some people don't want to face it. So they'd rather deny it and gaslight people, and play devil's advocate. No, I'm sorry. Ever since I've been working, mistakes of any kind of magnitude in line with that business results in a demotion or that person being fired. So when your literal job is to be a public servant for the people, protecting the people, and you kill someone who is unarmed and no threat, the last thing you should be able to do is walk around like nothing happened. Like this is the smallest thing that could have happened on your watch. No, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to anyone. You killing someone. I measure my time on social media because honestly, I don't have the emotional space to look at, to respond to comments of ignorance and evil. I really don't. If you don't value Black life, it's going to come out in your comments, in your behavior. But honestly, if I responded to every comment I see on social media that perpetuates that hateful mentality, like my head would pop off and I'd have no time for anything else. And I speak this to my fellow brothers and sisters who feel inclined to call out those comments or respond to it. Like, do what you feel is necessary, but oftentimes it's just going to go in one ear and out the other because they hold true to this mentality that our lives don't matter. If it did, there'd be more change. But what we're seeing is an incline of this behavior, these deaths, the names that continue to be turned into hashtags, names that some people have forgotten, names that some people didn't even know. And they all deserve justice. They all deserve to be remembered. They all deserve their time to live or their day in court if it was truly necessary. We deserve to not have to walk around in fear that we're going to be pulled over or one of our loved ones is going to be pulled over and that could be the last time we see or speak to them. Dante Wright had called his mom when he got pulled over. George Floyd screamed out for his mother. These are human beings. We are human beings. I don't always know how to end these videos. You want to say something uplifting, but sometimes the emotional toil just leaves you feeling like there isn't anything uplifting to say. And that is our reality. And I want so much more for us. I think of the young mothers who are looking to doulas and midwives because they have no support. Every aspect of our daily lives, just trying to go from point A to point Z, is a struggle, not of our own doing, but of the struggles and the obstacles and the hurdles placed in front of us to get a job, to have our resume seen, to survive. Sandra Bland was on her way to a new job, a new chapter in her life. What was to be this positive, beautiful new phase. And her light was snuffed out yet again by police. I think of MLK's dream that has yet to come to fruition. And I think of the countless other dreams by Black people. Some that never get to see the light of day. Black Lives Matter. That's it. That's the statement. Peace.